she's wrong. There was literally, actually, unironically, a checkbox. This is something that even like children can do. Is like check a box, and they couldn't even do that correctly. Haba she couldn't check a box. Last time we left off, we were talking about how Donald Trump lost his civil case in New York and then proceeded to, it seems like, lose everything because of that and the massive fraud that he's been engaging in for years, decades even. All right? With that being said, we have a continuation of that story, of the massive L that is, to today, which is the first day of the trial for Donald Trump's criminal tax fraud case going on that is mostly going to decide what punishment he's going to get for him being found guilty of not one, not two, but all counts on his criminal tax fraud case, and what the prosecutors called a 15-year scheme to defraud the United States and New York for preferable insurance loans by, pun not intended, trumping up the valuation on his properties, which is how he makes most of his money, to be able to do that, right? Some pretty bad stuff, I'm going to be honest with you, like a huge Trump L, getting caught for lying. The Trump Organization could face a maximum of $1.61 million in fines when sentenced in mid-January. The company is not at risk of being dismantled because there is no mechanism under the New York law that would dissolve the company. However, a felony conviction could impact its liability to do business and obtain loans and contracts. Basically, what's going on is that the prosecutors want a $250 million penalty to be slapped onto him, and also the revocation of his licenses to be able to do businesses and the liquidation of some of his assets, which is what we're going to be talking about today. And that's what this court case that we're doing right now is going to be about, which is pretty bad for Trump and crew. His sons as well, they're going to be a part of this. So he got clapped with all of this. So I want to talk a little bit about the stakes that are involved with what's going on. Trump and his businesses and his two adult sons are accused of inflating their assets by as much as $1.9 to $3.6 billion a year between 2011 and 2021 to save hundreds of millions of dollars in loans and insurance. The consequences that he could have is not jail time. He can't get jail time here. But Letitia James is seeking at least $250 million in penalties, a ban against Trump and his sons, Eric and Jr., from running businesses in New York, and a 5-year commercial real estate ban against Trump and the Trump organizations. And that's honestly one of the most damaging things to them, because Donald Trump makes most of his money from rental properties, from like golf courses to Trump Tower, to the 2 Trump Towers that are in New York and across the country. Those things are really big for him. We don't know yet about the actual full implications of how bad this is going to be for Trump. But right now there are 10 businesses and including golf courses that are going to be liquidated. There could be ramifications for Trump Tower. They won't be able to there's a possibility of them not being able to do any more real estate work in New York, at least when their main business is real estate work, and especially in New York. Like, things can get really bad very quickly for Trump, right? And Trump is only making it worse by him going on Truth Social the other day and calling the fraud claims ridiculous and untrue. And not only that, he called Judge Engoron deranged on Truth Social. So things are not going well so far. He's lashing out. He's an animal backed into a corner. And boy, are things getting a little hairy. We talked about this last stream, but we remember Junior going on to Fox News and basically lying to everyone to say that Mar-a-Lago is worth over $1 billion for literally no reason.
Because, Sean, they don't care. They don't care about the details. Mar-a-Lago is one of the most valuable properties anywhere in the world, worth well over $1 billion.
Just me when I completely lie to everyone. Very obviously, very huge lie. Listen, it's worth that much because my dad's there. Well, like we said last time, Junior is one of the biggest senior gaggers. So it makes sense that he would say something like this when we all know that is incredibly, patently false. On top of that, he's not making his life any easier for using the entire court case as basically a new ability to campaign, where he's trying to turn the entire courtroom into a campaign spectacle. So he's getting good clips to be able to run ads about it when he's out of court. The absolute criminal that this man is. In front of cameras on his social media site, Trump attacked New York Attorney General Letitia James for bringing a case against him. He attacked the judge for the ruling last week. He sought to tie them to special counsel Jack Smith criminal indictments, even though they are unconnected. This has to do with the election interference, plain and simple. They're trying to damage me so I don't do well, as I'm doing in the election. So true, he's already doing so well. He was totally on track to totally 100% win, just like he was back in 2020, guys, right, guys? He was so absolutely going to win. As we all know. I mean, come on. And for all of his like weird stuff that he was doing, the judge decided to reprimand him too. So things are not going well for him, because not only is the fact that he got hit with being criminally liable or like civilly liable with fraud, but now he's already off on a bad foot when it comes to the judge too. Former President Trump targeted the principal law clerk working on his trial on Truth Social Tuesday while he sat in the courtroom where she was literally feet away from just feet away from him. So like this poor girl in the court doing her one job, which is the tippity type in court. All right. And Trump is like truthing away on his phone like, I hate this bitch so bad. The former president decided the clerk is Schumer's girlfriend, alongside a picture showing her posing with Chuck Schumer. Schumer's girlfriend is running this case against me. How disgraceful. This case should be dismissed immediately. It's just crazy, dude. Oh my God, right? It's crazy. They actually can't help themselves. They can't help themselves with being weird around women. They're constantly so weird around women. It's creepy. It's just freaky. And one of the biggest freaks about women out here is like Ian Miles Chong. Like this guy, he's constantly posting about AOC. You wake up as AOC. What's the first thing you doing? You fucking freak. What's wrong with you, you weirdo? What are you talking about? Dude, rent must be due. God, rent has to be due. You'll see Ian talk about AOC nearing like the end of the month. And I'm going to tell you this now. His fucking landlord must be banging on his door with both hands. He has like his like table next to his door is like filled up with red envelopes in there. And he's sitting there with like leeching internet and power off of his neighbors because the power has been shut off for days. For days, dude. Look at this. What is AOC doing? Look at this. Look. Rent's fucking due, bro. This honestly, I'm at this point, she should file a restraining order. And then he posts Mayo-C too. Bro, this is stalking. It's getting close to internet stalking, right? And this is one that he deleted, but it makes me sick to my core every time anytime I remember it. Not Mayo-C. It makes me sick to my core every time I see it. This guy has to be stopped. He literally has to be stopped. He can't keep getting away with this. He belongs in prison. I missed that one. Good. Pray you never see it again. Pray you never see it again. Trump was tweeting so bad, in fact, about this clerk who was just doing her job, that the judge had to file a gag order on Donald Trump to stop him from talking about her and to delete his social media posts on Truth Social. He actually can't control himself around women. They lose it. They can't handle it. He got that sexual harassment itch. He was like, I need it. You know how hard it is being in the public eye like this? I can barely say what I want about these girls. Like, calm down, bro. Slow up. Slow it up. That makes me uncomfortable. I imagine being that girl, right? And Trump, this isn't Trump's first rodeo when it comes to committing crimes or being unethical when it comes to money. I want to tell you this now. You can't be a multi-billionaire without screwing some people over, and sometimes illegally. Like, he's used his money. Like, people forget a lot of the things that Donald Trump was doing to enrich himself when he was in office. Like, accepting so many gifts from so many politicians around the world, and also not writing them off on his taxes. Like how the Saudi Arabian crown prince gifted Donald Trump golden golf clubs worth $40,000 minimum. And like how he had politicians stay in his own hotels, and people from across the country and across the world who wanted to go see the president, they were expected to stay in his hotels in DC overnight and then pay them money. He was charging literally the Secret Service extra money, absorbent fees to protect him in his apartments and his hotels around the country and in DC. It was just crazy. Him funneling in like things are still coming out about how much he was enriching himself while in office. Like Trump's donation money, at least $10 million of it was being funneled into his own companies. Some 8.5 million that comes from committees Trump controls directly, while 2 million comes from other Republican candidates and committees. He just set up things in the Republican Party to profit off of donors, to profit off of the American people, and to profit off of other politicians to make extra money, while he wasn't just specifically running any of his businesses directly. Owners exploit people. Now, that's one of the truest things I heard all day. He's a billionaire. I expect this. Oh, 100%. And this guy just keeps talking and keep digging himself a deeper and deeper hole. He's, like I said, he keeps trying to use this as a way to campaign. He's been seen and spotted outside the courtroom and in other places. In this place, a literal unironic Waffle House, where he vented some frustration about the fact that he's being held accountable for his crimes against the American people. The people who he said that he apparently loves and protects and wants to keep safe. Where he called Letitia James, mind you, a racist.
You know, it's a rigged deal. My financial statements are much lower than the actual net worth. This judge and your fake attorney general of New York, who's driving business out, who's letting murderers run all over the city. They don't do anything to murderers that are running all over the city. The attorney general is a racist. Letitia James.
She's a racist. Letitia James. She's letting murderers run all across the city. I can't lie. It's like Gotham out there in New York. It's horrible. If I was the judge, I'd throw hands with him. I mean, if he keeps talking, then he's gonna get it. Speaking of throwing hands with him, it seemed like the judge is starting to run out of patience with him, and he might throw hands with him a little bit. He's throwing hands with words, at least. Donald Trump just keeps running his mouth, and it's only getting things worse. But he keeps making up claims but him just like talking shit is one thing, but him lying about the court and the case and whether or not he's getting a fair trial is another thing that the judge has not been too kind about, really. And recently, the other day, he lied, or at least let's say he claimed, I'm so unbiased. Let's say he claimed in front of the court, after he got out of getting rocked again for his first day in court, that he wasn't given a jury trial. He was very upset. He was like, why didn't this judge give me a jury trial? I can't believe that they didn't want to give me a jury trial. This makes no sense.
I was going to come out and say that, as you know, we're not entitled to a jury, which is pretty unusual in the United States of America. So we think it's very unfair that I don't have a jury, but the judge's last statement was very fair.
So I'm not entitled to a jury, which is very weird in the United States of America. You are entitled to a jury. And nobody is exempt from that. Everybody is entitled to a jury, Donald Trump included. But you know what else you're also entitled to? To request there's no jury. So what's curious is that I've heard Donald Trump say this, and you've heard Donald Trump say this, whether you're giga socialist, the giga lib, the mega rightoid or anybody, you know that you've heard Donald Trump say time and time again that he doesn't believe that he would get a fair trial in places like New York because everybody is super racist against him. Maybe it's because he's Italian, maybe it's because he's orange, or maybe it's because he constantly lies and nobody likes him. I'm not sure which one it really is, but what I will tell you is that he never thought that or whether it was like how he just wanted to say it, he just wanted to say it, or if he genuinely believed it. But he said constantly that he never thought that he would get a fair trial in New York. Okay? But the thing is that after saying this, the judge was like, oh, hell nah. You ain't gonna play that with me. The next day, he went in and the judge was like, bro, you didn't ask for a jury. You didn't ask for one. You didn't want one. We asked you if you wanted one, bitch, you said no. And I'm going to tell you this right now. I don't think Donald Trump's lying. What I mean is, I believe him in the sense of, I think that he thought that he wasn't entitled to a jury. And he was genuinely surprised that there was no jury. I completely believe that. You know why? Because Donald Trump hires the most bottom of the barrel, troglodyte, bad at their job, garbage, trash tier lawyers possible, because the only quality he looks for in somebody who works for him is if they have a nice tight throat to hold his dick in. Because, and outside of that, if you can glaze him, then you can get paid by him. Or my bad, like, unless it's like in the case of like Rudy Giuliani, then you would not be getting paid. Then you can work for him. And outside of that, whether or not you're good at your job is completely secondary. You know it for a fact because even conservatives that would like to glaze Trump even more will tell you that, oh, he just had terrible people around him. And then you're like, well, who put those people around him? And he's like, and before they used to come out and be like, oh, it was like the deep state who were playing him. He didn't know anything. He was just too dumb to know the fact that everybody that he was hiring was super incompetent. No, bro. The only thing he cares about is if you love him. And if you talk about how you love him and if you sing his praises 24/7, that's the only thing. And so what I think, in my personal opinion, is that his lawyer didn't tell the judge and prosecution that he wanted a jury. And so this started to come about where a lot of people started saying that, yo, wait a second, this is weird because you had the opportunity to get a jury. So I started to glaze over. So I started to gaze over to his main lawyer, Haba. And Haba was like, whoa, hang on, let's slow down, everyone. I didn't do anything wrong. It wasn't me. It's everybody. It wasn't me. I didn't do it.
Like that. And I have to address this one common misconception in the press. And unfortunately, it just keeps getting repeated, which is that we had this great option to have a box checked for a jury. No, we didn't have that.
I would like to direct your attention to the New York Attorney General's form documentation from Trump's lawyers. And I would like to further direct you to the unchecked box that says trial by jury demanded. And if you need help, it's right here. It's right here. That thing that they didn't tick. And even more important, this box right here that they did tick that said trial without jury. Filed by attorney or for plaintiff. If you take a look right here, this is crazy. There was no box to tick. And I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't think there was a literal box to tick, but she's wrong. There was literally, actually, unironically, a checkbox. This is something that even like children can do on their spelling bee or something, is like check a box. And they couldn't even do that correctly. Haba couldn't check a box. I haven't taken law, but what I do know is that this has to be like year one in law, right? Like this is year one shit that you mess up. Like I feel like the box checking on these files, on this filing has to be like year one type stuff. She forgot to check all her boxes. This may be even semester one of stuff that you learned in lawyer school. And she's ruined it. She's ruined it. She can't even do that correctly. What else could she do? This is the intro to law. This is the type of thing that I would learn about law in a Tim and Moby segment. Like, how can you sit here and tell me that you didn't know? How can you tell me you didn't know? This isn't year one law. This is reading comprehension. It's true in the, you're right. It's so true. It's even worse than, you don't need any special law. This isn't even in any special law jargon. This shit isn't written in Latin or something. It's like, do you want a jury? Yes or no? And they click no. And she's like, I can't believe people are blaming me.
It just keeps getting repeated, which is that we had this great option to have a box checked for a jury. No, we didn't have that. That's not how this works. They brought it under Section 6312, which is a very narrow, not appropriately used section of the law, which is for consumer protections, not this. And that is why we're...
That's crazy. It's crazy how she had the law jargon her way out of it. Bimbo lawyer. Do you think that Trump just hired her because he thinks that she's cute? Is she even, I'm starting to wonder if she's even a lawyer. Who is this lady? Yes, 100%. This may actually be the only reason why she's a lawyer right now. Is that Trump personally thinks she's cute. That's crazy to me. She plays a great one on TV. Yeah, she says good stuff about him on TV a lot. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's the only thing. That's the only thing going on in his head. Possibly. And I know she must be there because he pays like, she's charging him like an exorbitant fee, like a lot of money to be there. Like I'm talking like a lot of money. A lot of money. He ain't paying that though? No, she's already getting paid. I'm pretty sure she's already getting paid. Or like actually, you might be right. He might be stringing this girl along. He may have been stringing this girl along for a long time because she's been working for him for a long time, ever since 2020. I've been hearing Haba's name and seeing her around since 2020. And like, I know Giuliani said he didn't get paid, but it might be possible that he just paid her simply because he thinks she's cute. That may be what's going on. I can't lie to you. It sounds like him. They're just to keep her around. And things are getting so bad and so goofy and so embarrassing that even Fox News has had to come out to push back against some of the lies that he's been doing.
There is no option to check a box. They brought this under a consumer fraud statute. It has never been used in this way for a reason, because this judge who oversaw the special proceeding has given them everything they wanted effectively for years, and they wanted to keep it in this division as opposed to the commercial division where we would have had a normal judge. So no, everyone, I didn't forget to check a box. There you go.
So I saw you nodding. What is the problem with this? What's problematic?
Well,
his name is nodding.
I've been practicing law for 30 years, and there usually are some forms where you have to make a check, a little X there saying you want a jury trial. But what I'm perplexed about is the Trump team could have appealed this, could have challenged this before they commit the start of this proceeding. So I'm a little confused as far as, hey, why don't you challenge it if you honestly feel you have a right to pursue
Can they still do that?
This jury trial?
There is no.
They had two choices. They had two tries. They had two tries. They missed a single checkbox and they got fucked up. And then after fucking up, they could have fixed it. And they couldn't even do that. They couldn't even do that. They just gave up. They just gave up. Bro, it's over, dude. It's over. He actually has the worst lawyers imaginable. It's all bozos. It's all bozos. It's wild. Who can even see this coming? And on top of that, if you think things couldn't get worse, what is that? Oh, it's the sound of his entire life crumbling. Because not only is it getting worse, people are starting to turn tail on him, okay? In the Georgia case against him for lying about the election, in the Georgia case against him, some of the people who are indicted, some of the many people who are indicted along with him are already started to turn on him. And on top of that, John Kelly, who worked in his White House, Who's that? He was the White House chief of staff. And mind you, White House chief of staff is one of the highest ranking positions in the entire country. Not only just because he's in the White House, but basically imagine the White House chief of staff in the simplest way possible as like the head butler of a mansion. You know what I mean? Or like the liaison, or basically the person who's right under the president, who you tell all of the really important orders to, who delegate everybody else inside of the White House. It's that person. It's that person who basically does the running of the White House. The person who knows who needs to know how to do everything, and is the person who's basically running everything. That's what's going on there. This person has turned on Donald Trump, okay? And has started to go on the record to reveal stories and give testimony against Donald Trump about what he was doing in the White House when cameras were off, and he had to be the one in the room because he was the basically second in command when it comes to the White House and the goings on inside of it. It's some really bad stuff, and we can't go over all of this at the moment, but this is going to be for another video. But basically, I'll just leave it there for now, that the people all around him are starting to turn tail. The people who he relied on, like Weisselberg, have also been testifying against him and his organization, and are no longer gagging him because they have no reason to, now that the jig is up and they've all got caught. There's very little people to cling to, and there's very little that he can do now. And I think Trump, his organization, and his campaign in general are beginning to spiral in a way that he can't stop. They said you can't stop Teflon Don, but I'm going to tell you this, that Teflon has a lifespan just like everything else. And an old Trump senior seems to be showing his age. The eggs are starting to stick to the pan, and it's going to be a hard cleanup. But that's basically what's going on with the investigation inside of Donald Trump and how bad it's really getting for him and his people. We'll talk about this more as we get more information, but it's not looking good so far. And he's already lashing out to start to get at people like McCarthy and use the Republicans who he still has in his pocket to be able to get him out of office. And he's done a great job at that. I think that he's going to take the Republican Party down with him. And honestly, for both of them, for all of them, good riddance. Come here. Come here. Oh. Hi. Oh, sorry. I didn't see you there. If you're enjoying the content, hit the subscribe button. If you don't, it'll make Boo very sad. I know a bunch of you who are watching are not subscribed. Join the frenzy. You won't regret it. Thank you, Boo.